So I'm Simon from Khulisa. So maybe just do a quick background. Khulisa is a Zulu word which means to nurture, which hints at our origins being from South Africa. And 4 years ago, we brought from our colleagues in South Africa some very specific violence reduction behavior change program based on therapeutic methods, and started piloting it and adapting it to UK needs. And so what was nice when we came across Project Oracle, or when it was first sort of introduced to us, we were already, I guess, quite engaged and open to evaluation and assessment, and being open and sharing that, because we were trying to prove that what we brought from South Africa was relevant and having impact here in England or in the UK. So we were looking, and we're already engaged in evaluating our work. We'd already done a very small match comparison group, and on some of our prison-based work. And we, through Project Oracle, what was interesting is we had a research placement last spring, I guess it would be January to May, Steph Kelly, who helped develop a theory of change for our program. And what was interesting for us is that we had a robust toolkit that was about that thick, and we managed to get it down a little bit after adapting it here, with all the session guides and lesson plans based on, we had a recommended reading list and sort of evidence that the kind of theories and concepts that it was based upon. But we didn't have a theory of change. So we knew what we thought we knew what the program did, and we knew what we wanted it to do and its intended outcomes. But no one in Khulisa, South Africa, or in England had sort of mapped the process. We just had the lesson plans. We knew that we did this session and that session. So Steph spent 4 or 5 months basically looking at our internal materials and documents, interviewing our program staff, our facilitators, interviewing school partners, because it was focusing on young people's programs, and interviewing young people, interviewing participants. And through that, and as it were, sort of took our program apart for us, and then mapped out the theory of change, and showed us sort of how it works and sort of the why that it works, which probably the woman that wrote it in South Africa knew in her head, but she'd failed to share with us here in England. So it was very, I mean, I have to say, it was very useful. I guess like Dance United, it was, maybe just for me, I don't know, but for the organization, it really helped sort of transform our own understanding of the work that we were doing, which seems a bit funny to think we were so involved and invested in it, but it really did. But probably of equal, if not more importance, it helped us become a lot clearer in saying, especially to funders and commissioners, exactly what the program does and how, and what it doesn't do. And we had been a little bit guilty, or it's not really we weren't guilty of it, but we were quite caught up in sort of saying that the program achieves lots of long-term outcomes when we hadn't really actually measured any of that, and it was a bit that was kind of extrapolating what we all know. If you engage people in different interventions and you re-engage them in school or training or education, whatever it may be, long-term we know that hopefully leads to them not being arrested or having jobs or stable families. But it gives us the theory of change, and the work with Project Oracle gave us the discipline to say, this is exactly what we do. And we can measure, and we already are, and we're looking at different measurement tools to say, we know that our program does this, and we measure it this way. There's a huge amount of evidence out there, and there's people with PhDs and all this academic credentials that will tell you that doing that increases the prospects for these long-term outcomes. But we can't claim to do that. We don't work with the young person for the next 6 years of their life. We're not paid to do that, we're not resourced to do that, and there's 1,000 other organizations or public sector bodies that should be doing that. But we can now say with much more confidence, we do this and it fits better with your package of interventions and other services, and together that will and should have better prospects of these other types of outcomes. For us, it's about violence reduction, engagement in other services and supports and behavior change, etc. So it's really helped us in this sort of our internal discipline, but then in our communication with funders and commissioners, and then also, which I think could be something that grows out of Project Oracle, it also helps us better align what we do with other service providers, so that we can approach partner organizations to say, right, we do this, what can you do before it, or what can you do after it? can we together, as 2, 3, 4 organizations, go to the fund of the commissioner to say, here's a much broader, more impactful sort of offer and service of support, and together these will get you a lot of your long-term outcomes that you're throwing lots of money at and sometimes getting and sometimes not. So that's us. We have another research placement who's looking at the theory of change and how we're assessing our program and sort of the gaps. Sort of, we're saying the program does X, we're assessing Y, do the two match? What are we not assessing that we should, and or what are we assessing that we shouldn't bother because it's not actually relevant? And we'll go from there. So thanks.